Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode. I am here, and if you're seeing this on video, I am here with Queen Ashley Cotwasser wearing her tiara from her recent Clash win. Ashley, how do you feel?
I feel pretty spectacular, especially with the crown. And I wish you could wear it every day. Just go to Starbucks with this on. I thought I'd get some use out of it before I hand it over to you. Once you get the contest prep center, it's going to be your decoration, so you can wear it
Yeah,
all
that'll be
year.
our first decorations in the Vegas one.
Yeah, and then I also have this for you too, my medal. Yeah, it's a big one too.
That crown's gonna be cool because that crown is gonna be the crown of her 20th pro win.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Now,
You can't see
just
the background.
I'm gonna put like a sign behind it that says 20th pro win. Now, so you guys know there's a kind of like some slight uncertainty because there's a lot of shows that were recorded overseas that weren't like there's no records of. But as far as the record show, as far as we know, that is the most pro wins we've seen in bikini. We think that to be true. There's a couple people that could be close that are.
Yeah, I had an interview yesterday where I had explained that too. I was like, well, it's got to be up there, but I can't confirm that only because back in the day they didn't, track or organize the shows as well. And now everything's like on the site. But back in the day, that wasn't the case. So I had to kind of clarify that in an interview I did last night. And I was like, well, it's got to be up there, but I can't confirm it. I think probably Janet's close though. She's competed and won a lot as well, so I'm not sure. But
Yeah,
I'm happy it's 20, so whatever.
Yeah, it's close. But so as far on the records, that's the most wins on record. But so congratulations on that. And then now we just got to get farther away just to make sure, right? So. Yes. So I think this is a cool podcast. So last week, when we post our podcast next week, we actually were going to post that podcast this week, but then Ashley won. So in next week's podcast, just so you guys know, we might have a little bit of reference to it. It might be a week off because we're talking about her just getting done with the Clash. So, but we wanted to do this episode because I think it's a really good one. We just did one about mindset the other day, but I think that going from show to show, that's where people mess up the most. I think that having that pro mindset when you just want to show. And I think people want to hear like how it feels and what all goes into it and what the plans are for this week. So this was going to be a cool episode to listen to because very few people have won a pro show. Yeah. And I think this is going to be great for people to hear firsthand from you. So let's jump right into it, Ashley. First off, how do you feel? That was a tough level of competition. I know you were a little anxious going into it because you haven't been on stage in a year and there was some stage rush. You gotta tell us all about it.
Yeah, so I'm really pleased with my performance last weekend. I think I did pretty well. There are some things that we can fix, though. I know we can fix little tiny things, but they are things and they add up. But overall, I'm pretty proud of myself, and I'm glad that I wore the red suit. I know you really wanted me to wear the red suit, and it was a hit. So I'll probably be wearing red more often here. But yeah, when I won, honestly, I cried a little bit because it was just such a great feeling. You put in all this work and you can only hope for the best, but you don't. Well, anyway, I don't go into any show assuming I'm going to win. I think that's a really bad attitude to have in a subjective sport because you can't control any factor except for yourself. You cannot control how everybody else shows up. You can't control how it's going to be judged. You can't control little factors that affect the show in general, like the rain, that we had in Florida last weekend. There's things you can't control. The only thing you can control is yourself. So, I never go into a show thinking I'm going to win, expecting I'm going to win. I'm always like, you know what? If I go in and I do all the right things and I showcase all my hard work that I put in and I know there's nothing else I could have done, I'm happy with that,
Yeah.
So I was happy already knowing that I looked better than I did before. But then when I won, that was like icing on the cake because I was like, I exceeded my expectations. So it was really awesome feeling. And yeah, I was so excited that night. I barely slept.
So one of the things that I think people like with Ashley, it's like it's kind of crazy because it's like this weird pressure that people kind of just assume is out there. mean, I don't think Ashley really feels it as much, but it's kind of like, oh, she's expected to win, or she thinks she's expected to win, but she never thinks that she's going to win a show. And really, I think that's the right attitude, because I mean, it's kind of like if you win, if you have that attitude, you win. You're kind of like, oh well, whatever. I kind of thought so. But if you lose, then it's like this huge thing. But you got to understand, in bikini, there's very few consistent placings. Like, people forget about like how volatile the bikini division is. And even if you look at like our current champion, which is Issa, last year she did a bunch of shows and she didn't win all of them. I know she got fourth in Japan. She won a bunch of shows too, but it's just not a thing that you can really be 100% consistent, always winning first place, because it's not bodybuilding. It's not the leanest, biggest guy wins every time. There's gonna be a lot of varying factors in how you place. So I think that's more than anything for someone, that's an important lesson. Like, if Ashley doesn't expect to win and isn't disappointed if she doesn't, like, you better go into shows with that same attitude. Because I see a lot of people who finish a show and they get done and they're like all mad because someone else won and they're in bikini. And I'm like, well, one, you picked a volatile division. You picked a very subjective division. You got to understand that going into it. It's not bodybuilding, you know? So I love that you put that out there, because I think people need to understand that going into it. I've had a girl, so back in the day when we had to get pro cards a lot harder, it was a lot different. I don't know if I would say a lot harder, because a lot more people doing it now than it was then. It's probably the same. It was just very few people got pro cards. I had one girl, she did eight national shows, and she got her pro card on her 8th show. And she was, the first 6 shows, she got top 5 every time. She even won a couple of shows, but then you had to win the overall back then. And then on the 7th show, she got like second call outs, maybe third call out. She got like 12th place. So then she was like, I'm done. I'm trying so hard. I can't get it. I'm done. She always expected to win because she was so close. She kept going. And then she was going to quit. I was like, just do another one. Just do one more. You're right there. You're literally inches away. And then she did one more show and won her pro card without actually expecting to. She was kind of like just going through the motion. She's like, I'll do it one more time. No. She got a pro card. We ended up going on and winning a pro show, actually, and got to the Olympia. Isn't that crazy? Because she was about to quit. So she ended up getting the Olympia in Mexico. So it was really cool to see like that stuff happens. You just got to stay motivated so you can keep going with it, you know? Mm-hmm. So that being the case, Ashley, how are you? So you go into shows, you know, people don't understand. Let's go into that too. People don't understand why you do so many shows.
Yeah.
And I really want to go into that too, because people have, I think, a weird like misconception of shows and what you like, I don't know, for some reason, like it's starting to be like a culture where you do like one show a year, like you just do the Olympia. And I'm like, that's never been a thing. That's not a thing. Like, for bodybuilders, it's a thing now, but before it was never a thing. That's why, you know, I talked about the other day, Dexter Jackson has almost 90, he might have over 90 shows now, because he competed when people would just compete the whole circuit. Everyone would do the Ironman every year. Everyone would do the Arnold, and everyone would do the Olympia, and everyone would do like all these big shows, the Tampa Pro. Like, it was, people did the circuit. Bodybuilders did 6 shows. Chris Cormier told me one time he did over 10 shows in a year. So like, the whole, especially with bikini, you know, being able to be, you don't have to crush yourself as hard. I think that there's no reason why not. So Ashley, why don't you tell us your opinion on it, and why do you do so many shows?
Well, first and foremost, I love competing. I really do. It's something that really brings joy to my life, and it's like a goal that like is always like there. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I have a show in a month or whatever. So it's like a goal that I, you know, always kind of keep near to me, and I can work towards that. Another thing is, it keeps me on track throughout the entire year. That's a big thing for me. You know, I noticed like times where I didn't compete for a while tend to get a little fluffy, you know, and that's so hard to get off. So it keeps me in check so that I don't stray too far away from like the stage physique. And then another thing is, I'm always learning and always improving. So even this show, we can talk about all the things that I can improve on. Although I got first, there still are many things, little things that I can fix, that I can be better at. And, you know, you can say, oh, well, you know, I pose for an hour a day in the mirror. It's not the same. I promise you, it is not the same, especially when it comes to things like the suit, the makeup, the hair. It's not the same as posing in a mirror or posing with your coach. There is nothing quite like stage, the actual stage time to truly learn. So, you know, every show I learn something new, small little adjustment and fix it. And these little adjustments really add up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's kind of a journey to the Olympia every year, not just show up to the Olympia. And the journey is, okay, correcting. So Ashley was really, really kind of, honestly, she was a little nervous, I would say, going into this show because she hasn't been on stage in so long. And so like, we knew that there was going to be some stage rust that we had to kind of get off of her. And so I watched it really, really closely, did video. I saw like 4 tiny things that we could fix. And it was like really, really small things that we could fix that we're going to fix going into the next show. And so, and you're welcome to say what those are, like, because of how little they are if you want. It's up to you.
I'll say it. Yeah, I don't mind. The ones that I caught were, well, I definitely stuttered on one of my transitions. I stutter stepped, you know, so like being a little shaky, a little nervous. I know you also mentioned that I need to kind of engage my lat a little bit more or square myself more towards the judges. I think that also I could probably squeeze a little harder on my back pose, because I kind of went to the opposite end of, like, because I've always gotten critique that I pose too hard in my back shot, like my glutes, I flex them too hard. So I went the exact opposite, and I literally just like stood up straight. I think I might be able to get away with a little more push, just a little bit. And I don't know, what were the other ones?
That was pretty much it. It was engaging the lat in the front pose. I think that your feet could be 1 inch like closer in on the back pose. I felt like for how much muscle you had, they could be a little bit closer. And that was about it. And there was only one time, where you pushed really hard on your back pose, and the rest of the times it was really soft. So we need to find the good in between of those two. I think, yeah, you're right on that. But so it's little things. So people don't get that, because when Ashley's like at the prep center and we're posing, and you know, she looks awesome and there's no one to compare her to. So it's like, you don't get a good reference because there's no one next to her that's at the same level. It's just her by herself, you know? So it's easy to be like, oh, you look awesome, you know? But like, until you can really have someone right next to you, it's hard to say what you need to work on. You know, even if your waistline's small, you know, someone with a smaller waist can make your waist look bigger, type of thing. Even if your legs are small, someone with smaller legs can make your legs look big. So then when you get next to people, you kind of find out where your balance is at too, and how you need to adjust your physique according to be what the ideal standard is within those people. So it's kind of a sliding scale, I guess, based on who you're next to. So you really learn a lot when you're next to someone too. And so, yeah, so we get, you know, you get the question once in a while, like, oh, why does she compete so much or whatever? Well, that's the thing is, one, it's more normal to compete very often than it is not to, especially in bikini. The competing less often is definitely a new thing. And I think that before, when people were doing like the circuit, the fans of the sport really like seeing their people compete more than once a year, you know, more than once or twice a year. I think that it's like I don't know why that's kind of slowed down with that, but I'm glad that you're still doing it because it's fun and you love it. And really it's just because you love it. That's like literally 90% of the reason is because Ashley wants to compete.
It's exciting for me. That's excitement to my life.
Yeah, and we will get like occasionally, you know what's funny is I've never had a pro say to me this. I've only had amateurs say to me this. And I want to explain this too, because people will be like, well, if she competes, she takes someone's Olympia spot or whatever, right? And here's the thing. You got to understand, guys, only amateurs ask me that. Professionals never say that because they realize you're playing a professional sport. You don't play a professional sport and expect that one day LeBron James isn't going to show up. It's like, oh man, LeBron James showed up today. Well, of course he did. You're playing a professional sport. Of course, you know, it's like playing the Bulls. You're like, oh man, well, Michael Jordan, he's really good. So maybe he should just sit a game out. No, you're a professional athlete. You play against Michael Jordan whenever he wants to show up.
I never looked at it like that.
It's the same. Can you imagine? They're like, oh, Michael Phelps already won 6 medals at the Olympics. Does he really have to compete in the next 2 games? Like, no, Michael Phelps wants to win 8 and he does it because he loves it. And you're a professional athlete at the highest level. you don't get to make that complaint. That's who you got beat. That's it. So like, so I don't know. So that's just so you guys know, like, professionals never say that to me. I've never had an IFBB bikini pro say that, but I've heard amateurs say it. And I'm like, hey, look, when you get to the pro level, whatever shows up, shows up. Like you are now a professional athlete. You go against the best in the world. That was your choice to be a professional athlete. You could have stayed at NPC if you wanted. So I don't want to hear it. So just to get that out there, that's not how professionals think. So you would never hear like a professional bikini competitor say that. You'd only hear like amateurs coming on the way up that don't really understand it. Just so you guys have a kind of a metaphor to compare it to. You know, you would never ask Michael Phelps to not compete in the last 2 games. Not saying that, you know, Ashley's the Michael Phelps of, well, I guess you are the kind of Michael Phelps of bikini. So I guess maybe I am kind of saying that. so that's another thing too. We're always going to try to get better. We're not going to hold back and not take the chance to get better at multiple shows throughout the year. We're going to try to get better. And once we have it perfect, yeah, that's probably it for the year. And then we just cruise into the Olympia, but we're not there yet. We probably need 2 to 3 shows to get I mean, he hasn't been on stage in a year, you know? We probably need 2 to 3 more to really fine tune it. So that being said, Ashley, what are what's going on this weekend?
So we're going to do the Pacific USA XXV, which I think is 25, right? That's XXV, yeah, 25.
Yeah, I think so.
That's this weekend in San Diego. So I'm really excited. We're leaving tomorrow. I'm just like, can it be Saturday already? You know, I don't know. I've been so excited this whole week that it's like really hard for me to eat, believe it or not. I have no appetite because I'm like so excited. Have you ever been like so excited? You just like, I don't want to eat. I just want to do things, you know? So yeah. It's been interesting, but I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm so glad you're coming to this one. We'll have a lot of fun. I do know that they are doing something that I've never experienced before, and they're combining pre-judging and finals. So there's some pros and cons to that. Pros are it's less stressful, I guess. And once you're done, and you can go eat a burger or whatever. You know, because sometimes the hardest part about a show is waiting in between prejudging and finals. It's that long stretch of time where you're just like, I wonder how I'm going to do. I wonder how I'm going to do, you know? So that's kind of nice. It eliminates that. But also there are disadvantages of that as well, such as, you know, I like to go back into the hotel room after prejudging and see what I need to fix. I talk to you, like, what can I do better for finals? I look at all my pictures and see, does my hair look okay? Does my makeup look okay? What can I do to make myself just a little bit better? So I won't have that opportunity. And again, it's like one less stage time, I guess, that I'll get to practice with. But, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. We're in living in some crazy times right now, so I'm just glad that the show's happening. And you know, I'm a go with the flow kind of person, so I think I will adapt just fine.
Yeah, I think that I agree with your total thing. And I want to give so you guys who are listening, you're like, oh, you're probably like, oh, he's going to that show, but his girlfriend's competing this weekend somewhere else too. Just so you guys know like how it worked out, so you guys can have an understanding. So first off, I want to say thank you to Heather O'Gindy and Tamer O'Gindy and Derek. So they're not allowing any spectators at the show in Shreveport. So Anya and Neil are both making their pro debut. I've been with Neil for 5 years. He's making his men's physique pro debut. And Anya is competing this weekend too in Shreveport, but they're not allowing any coaches or any audience or anyone because of the Louisiana has a strict guidelines on the show.
And just, I'm going to interrupt you because you kind of combined those two. That's not muscle contest. Right over each. I'm just clarifying it. He's going to get to you, Tamer and Tarek and Heather, that part after. But in Louisiana, the promoter is not allowing spectators. Sorry.
Yes, there you go. So yeah, 2 separate shows. So there's one in Louisiana. Anya and Neil are making their pro debut, but unfortunately they're not allowing any coaches, anything. So I was like, oh man. So I was kind of bummed about that. And I was bummed. And then Heather, so Muscle Contest, which is in San Diego where Ashley is competing, they're not allowed any audience too. And so they're waiting for the final numbers to come in. And they're like, hey, Adam, we feel really bad that you can't see your girlfriend. And now you might not be able to see Ashley too as your option. But we want you to come down if we can. And we just have to see what the total numbers are. And so they got the total numbers. And then on Tuesday, they're like, hey, Adam, we got some good news for you. We want you to come down. You can come down and have a good time. We feel bad that you can't see your girlfriend and Neil compete. So you're welcome to come down and enjoy the show. We have enough. We can make one spot for you. We have enough room because there wasn't 40 girls registered for the pro show. He's like, so come on down. So I was like, man, that's so kind. Like they treat me so well. Like it's such a like these as promoters, these guys really go and like care and take care of the people, So just the props to them. And so it's just you guys.
It's my first muscle contest show too. I'm so excited. So I'm glad that you're going to be there with me for my first muscle contest show. It's crazy that I've competed in all these shows, but never competed in muscle contests. I was only a spectator, so this is going to be fun. I know they treat their athletes really well because I've been at the shows watching, but it's going to be nice to be a competitor this time. So
yeah, they're super excited too. So it's it's so cool. Like the family part of the NPC is like so. People don't understand it, but it's like we take care of each other, and it's so cool to like be part of that type of like community where they would even take that into consideration, like it's just thoughtful, So thank you guys for that. And now we got to go have San Diego, and we get done at like 1:00, which is never the case. Usually it's like 9:00. Ashley goes and takes a shower, and there might be like one restaurant open to go to. Hopefully, but this one we're like, hey, we're going to have like hours to do. What are we going to do? So we're going to find something to eat. Actually, going to finally have a nice cheat meal and got some time before her next one. So
the next one will be Tahoe. So that's a month after. So I get a little miniature break, but that's enough to have like a cheat meal, maybe go on a date with Hugo this weekend on Sunday or something, and then, maybe take a few days off from the gym, probably start back at the gym on Wednesday, and then, head back into the prep for Tahoe. I'm excited for Tahoe too. So you're coming with me. I already told you, put it in your calendar. You better bring your calendar out.
Yes, I'll put it in. I'm saying without Ashley organizing me, I'm like,
yes. So we'll be there. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys there as well. If you happen to listen, let us know you're going to be there. But a lot of exciting things happening, and things are getting a little more normal, and I'm just loving it. And I'm really just excited about the whole season. And let me tell you something, this is a little off topic, but it is so much easier to be on stage when I see singular instead of double. So you guys know I had my eye surgery in January because I had double vision. I had double vision for basically most of last year. So even at the Olympia, I was literally seeing double, which you wouldn't think is a big deal, right? Whatever, seeing double. It is a big deal whenever you have people next to you and you're trying to look out and trying to gauge where your body is and having spatial awareness. It is so hard because it makes you dizzy in a way. Double vision, it made me so like dizzy, and I didn't know where I was, like as far as like, in the lineup of girls. Like I was always so afraid I was gonna like run into somebody because we're already pretty tight and I can't see. So it is so much easier to compete when I see singular. Let me just say that. It is such a big relief. I can look out into the audience, I can look at the judges. There's only one set of them instead of two. So that is an awesome thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is a lot smoother now.
You know what? I give you a lot of credit because I want to go over something with you that you might not realize. I just realized it the other day. So we started back with Ashley in 2017, like in November timeframe. She wanted to do the Arnold for her big comeback. Her body wasn't responding that well. We're like, what's going on? We waited like 2-3 months. Tried like everything, trying. Ashley's crushing it. And
134 for like ever.
Dude, forever. It's getting her check-ins were stressful.
134 is like permanently tattooed in my mind. 134.
And then so we're getting her check-ins. It's like stressful because we're changing everything up, trying everything. She's like, I swear I'm doing everything. I swear. And then we ended up. I'm like, you know what? I gotta send you to my hormone guy because something's up. Found out her thyroid was basically like really, really slow, and we had to get
it's
it
like
correct.
a dried up raisin.
Yeah, it was like non-existent. We're like, oh, that's why. And then she was also anemic. And so we got that figured out. By the time we got that figured out, we started competing probably, I think May after that, or yeah, it was like May.
Mile High.
Yeah, the Mile High. So that was like the year one. The year one was, this is crazy. So the year one was like when you're on your comeback, your year one was we had to get fixed hormonally. It took us a long time, took like 7 months, took like 8 months to get on stage. Then the next year, your eyes started crossing over, slowly started crossing over, slowly started crossing over. And then we realized you're basically seeing double vision out of nowhere. And then you can't, like, people don't understand. They're like, oh, whatever, big deal. She can't see that great on stage. She can still do it. You guys understand, when you're trying to do cardio and so you're seeing two things at the same time, it is extremely difficult. Like, try crossing your eyes and then doing cardio. And that's how Ashley.
Or walking lunges or any lifting. Walking lunges were hard. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Might as well just close my eyes.
Yeah, literally. So that was year 2 of your comeback. Year 3 of your comeback has been the Corona times. So you prepped and your shows keep getting canceled. 3 shows got canceled. And through all that, you've
more than 3. It was like 5, but yeah.
Yeah. So it took this year we should have already had, like, our plan was to just crank out shows and do like 8 shows. We should have had done 5 shows by now, 4 shows by now. And, or 5. So actually, like, you've really been able to fight through adversity. And now we're finally in a stage where your body's responding well, your hormones are balanced, your vision is good, you're healthy, you don't have any injuries, shows are actually happening. Like, this is the first smooth time that you've had. Like, you haven't had a smooth time for now 4 years. So, like,
give me a break.
Throw the girl a bone, man.
I know.
But I just think it's so cool because I want to talk about that, just because, like, going through adversity and going through hard preps is just like, you never know how smooth the prep is going to be. You can't count on how smooth the prep is going to be. You can't count on that your body's going to respond the same every time. And so, like, how do you have that mental, like, tenacity to just keep it going through all those things? Those were some brutal things, especially the eye one. The eye one was like,
oh yeah. And the recovery of the surgery after just was way longer than expected. I thought, like, oh yeah, I'll be working out in like 2 weeks and blah, blah, blah. I mean, barely working out in 2 weeks. But then as I found out, even when I could work out, I couldn't even wear contacts. And my vision is poop. Like, I mean, I see singular, but I still have like negative 5.5 in both eyes. So that's really poor vision. Basically, I can't function without contacts or glasses. I couldn't wear glasses till like April. I couldn't wear makeup. I couldn't wear eye makeup till like April. My eyes were like red. They were like so freaky. But yeah, the recovery took way longer than expected. And even when I was able to work out, it was like a little bit at a time. They said, you got to go so carefully and so light because we don't want to pop a stitch. You don't want to overdo cardio because the blood flow in your eye can prohibit you from healing. So yeah. But anyway, something, it's just all I know, Adam. I just keep going because it's all I know.
Yeah.
It's such a habit and it's such a passion. I'm just like, shows really do add excitement to my life. They really do. And I think it's really fun to travel and go see new places. And we can do even more of that, maybe next year when the times are better for that. But I just love the sport. It gives me so many opportunities and I meet so many people and have so many good memories. So, I just love it.
That's cool. Yeah, I can't wait till we can do like international shows again. Our plan was to do something in a Latin country this year. That didn't work out. So, but yeah, next year will be that. But it's and also what's really cool too is about San Diego. It gets out early. Ashley will come down and she'll stay sometimes for a week, and I'll stay there sometimes for a week. But I'm always like, throughout the week, I'm always like working, so we don't ever really do too much. We just work out and then we kind of go our separate ways. But Saturday, we're out of the show at 1, so we can actually have a free meal, hang out, and actually like not work and do something. So it's gonna be kind of cool in San Diego. We've only done that in like, I think Korea we did it once, and then Japan we did it like a day, where we like did some. So if there's any suggestions you guys got for us to eat around the show area in San Diego, let us know, because Ashley deserves a meal. Girls got to eat. So
I wonder if I'm even going to be hungry though after the show. Usually I don't really have an appetite till much, much, much later. Like after the show last weekend, I really didn't have an appetite. And everybody else was going out for cheat meals, and I had chicken and cauliflower. And you're going to get mad when I tell you this, but I'm pretty sure that chicken was suspiciously maybe not as fresh, because it's been going with me since Denver,
Oh,
trying to keep it in those mini fridges. They don't get as cold as real fridges. And it smelled a little odd. It did.
Oh,
It
man.
smelled a little odd. And I know if you were there, you would not let me eat it, but I ate it. Because I was desperate. I was desperate. And that's what I had. And then I had some pistachios. That was my cheat meal. What's up?
I'm like the just so you guys know, I'm like the what is it called? Like the fresh food like police. I got food poisoning once, and I'm always so worried that someone's gonna get it, and I'm like, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't eat that. like Hugo, Ashley's boyfriend, will eat stuff like that's been sitting out for like hours, and I'm like, you're
Meatloaf
crazy.
that's been sitting out for 48 hours. Yeah, it's crazy. Ugh.
It's crazy, but I think he's because he's from Brazil. He's got like
Got like a strong stomach.
strong stuff because the water out there is like not as filtered and things like that.
I went to Brazil and I came back with like diarrhea that lasted a month. So I don't know what the heck happened in Brazil, but that was the only time I ever got sick from like traveling. Literally it lasted all month. But my stomach was so flat, like like my waistline was like snatched. Like I just kept pooping all month. But anyway,
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe it was a parasite or something. I don't know.
That's
I
so
went to the
funny.
doctor. They didn't say, they said nothing was wrong, but like I was like, I couldn't eat anything without pooping right after. All right,
That's cool.
TMI.
What if you have like a worm in there and it eats like half your food? That's why you're always
Oh
so
wow. Jeez. Well, he has left the building a long time ago.
cool. So you had some really good competition, really good level. So you guys know the Clash that show is no joke. It is not a small show by any means. They had some really, really good people.
37 competitors.
It's crazy. Remember when there was like 12 people in the show? Yes, 37 people during COVID. That means like when it's done, when COVID's done and all the states open up, we're going to be getting 50 regularly. So you had some really good competitors. You had Brina Martinez, who's really, really good. I think she's been in the Olympias 6 times. You had Ashley, who's got a ton of momentum going into the show. She's got it in second a couple times, like just an inch away from a first place. You also had Jasmine there too. And I think, is she competing Saturday as well? She got fourth. She's really good. She's always a threat. I believe she's won pro show before. I'm not positive. I think she's been to the Olympia though, right? I think so.
I believe
Yeah.
so. Yes.
Yeah, good. She's definitely very high level competition. And then you're going in, I know you have Marissa Wu going in this weekend, and also Svetlana, who's a new pro, has been making a little bit of noise. So yeah, it's gonna be another high level show out there. So I'm excited to see it. That's for sure. What are your thoughts going into this one? Just you're making your corrections. We're keeping you looking exactly the same for the most part. Easy peak.
I would say like, there's little things I can fix. Like, it's going to be a little nerve wracking, especially since I can't fix anything for finals really. But, I'm going to have fun and just turn all that nervous, anxious energy into positive, fun energy and be all bouncy on stage and just have fun. Cause it's like, got to cherish the moment. So this whole week, like I said, I didn't really have much of an appetite. I think I started to get a little more of an appetite today though. But I think this is something worth mentioning for people that are doing like back-to-back shows each week. They're not as easy as you would think. A lot of people think, oh yeah, you're already in shape. Well, that's going to be easy for you. Oh my gosh, you got to be so careful, especially with the food. I would say you can't be going out after and having like a pizza, like a whole pizza. You know what I mean? If you're going to have a cheat meal, it's got to be super conservative, I would say, if you're coming in for a next show. Well, for me anyway, I'm very carb sensitive, but you can't really enjoy yourself that much after a show. You kind of have to get right back on it. So it's kind of like that's, I would say, the most difficult part from doing a back-to-back show and scrubbing off all that tan. Holy crap, my skin hates me right now. Been scrubbing like twice a day to get all the tan off just to get re-tanned again. That's the hard part too. As far as the workouts, they're a lot easier than usual because I'm just kind of sweating it out. There's not really going to be any gains that are going to be made this week. We just got to stay tight, stay popping, and stay motivated.
Yeah, that's it. And so you guys know too, when we have like a week-to-week show, we're just basically keeping it as clean as possible from day to day. So the problem that you're going to have when you go post show is you're very susceptible to like gaining body fat quickly. Your body's just waiting for it, So the other thing is you're going to be very sensitive to food. So if you haven't had gluten, whatever, for 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and you go and you have a pizza or a burger or something like that, and you have it, it has like gluten or it's ingredients that you haven't had in a while, you might be bloated for a week because of that. And if you got a show the next Saturday, it's really difficult as a coach to like look at someone who's bloated and then know the right move to make, because you're holding water and we're like, oh, I don't know if you need more carbs because you look like you're just puffy. And I don't know if that's because you're spilled over from the carbs or because you're still holding water from your meal. So yeah, so it's a difficult thing. So we just keep it clean and keep it smart. And basically just like it didn't happen, we just keep it going. And so we've already kind of talked about last week with peak week. We went into a pretty thorough peak week thing, but just so you guys know, like this week, so you can kind of get some behind the scenes, like the peak week is very easy. There's nothing crazy. Ashley had like 120 carbs on Monday and like 70 fats, a little less on Tuesday. Today she's not having, we're gonna basically not have any carbs, just do proteins and some fats. And then tomorrow we're gonna have some carbs and keep food light. And that's peak week. That's it. Everyone's like, wait a minute, I'm doing all this, this, sodium, water. Like, nope, water's the same. Nope, sodium's the same. Carbs change a little bit here, a little bit there. Walk on stage. That's it. It's super predictable. It's not going to be anything crazy. I have a girl. So I had a girl this weekend, last weekend compete. Yeah, I had a good weekend too. I forgot about that. We won the Mr. Colorado Men's Physique title. Yay, yeah, that was good. So it's like, that's the best in Colorado. But we had a girl win the Miss Colorado title in bikini as well. That's our 6th time we've won that title, which is really cool. And the girl who won the Miss Colorado title, Louisa is her name, she didn't do anything for peak week, which is, everyone's gonna be like, what? She like literally did nothing for peak week. I was like, this is what we're gonna do. You look good right now. I want you to do exactly what you're doing, like you're on a regular meal plan, and just walk on stage. And she was like, okay, just like, I'll try it. I was like, no, that's what you need. We're ready. You look good. Just walk on stage. Your meal plan's not gonna change. You're going to just have exactly the same thing. On Friday, we'll take it a little bit lighter in your carbs than she normally does. And she walked on stage. So she's a little bit of I will say she's a little bit of an anomaly. She does no cardio in her preps. So she didn't do, it's crazy. I know she's like probably the only one I ever worked with that doesn't do cardio for her preps at all. She just leans out way too fast. So, yeah, so she had a regular menu plan, regular workout plan, and she just eased off on her workout a tiny bit. What's really cool about Louisa, just to give you guys like an example, she lives in California, and so she's done 2 shows now with entirely garage gym workouts. 2 shows.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy? Hasn't been in a gym besides my gym the day she flew in, and she couldn't work out here because it was already Thursday when she flew in. So it's like, so she couldn't do much. I was like, and people are like, oh, I can't work out because it's Corona or because of COVID. I can't work out. I'll just start again. I'm like, hey, I got girls beating every single girl in the state with home gym workouts and no cardio right now. You could do it. Like, it's just a matter of you deciding to do it or not, and like giving into that excuse or just saying, I'm going to overcome it and do a home gym workouts. So pretty cool to see that. That's like just a good, like, oh, wow. Okay. And she's going to go to nationals with the same garage gym workouts probably because she's in California and I doubt it's going to be open by then. So there you go. Pretty cool. I think that just saying that part of it,
Yeah, that is cool. I don't think I could have done that. Holy crap. Well, that's awesome. Congrats to her and congrats to you for being an awesome coach. You got a lot of W's last weekend. So, gotta love them W's.
Yeah, it's good. And I like people just hearing about like different people's peak weeks. And a lot of people do just walk on stage. If you're in shape, there's no reason to have to go through this crazy peak week. It's not a mandatory thing, So that being said, Ashley, do we got anything else you want to talk about? Yes.
Yes. So I don't know if you remember this or not, Adam, but the day before I left Colorado to go to Pittsburgh and then to Florida, I got scans. I got my weight, I got my scans, and I said, don't tell me till after the show. I want to know what they are now. Do you remember?
Do you want to know?
Yeah, why not? And just for reference, everyone, I really don't know this, so it's different, a little different every time, but I always get asked, like, what's my weight, what's my stage weight, so this should be a pretty good idea of what my stage weight was on show day. I am standing at 5 foot 5 inches and a half, so 5.5, foot 5 inches basically.
Yeah,
So,
fine.
yeah, tell me. I want to know
All right,
what's
so
the body fat and what's the weight.
this is going to be cool, Ashley. You're going to be really, I'm happy that you're knowing this because it shows that there's,
I bet
okay,
you I weigh more.
well, let's, here we
Way more
go.
than 120? Did I?
Yep.
Yeah. What did I weigh?
All right, so
I weighed 150.
yeah, 225. No, so okay, so you guys have a reference when Ashley's at her leanest. When they say, "Hey, she's too lean," like when we first got on stage, we overshot probably a little bit, and she was 117 at the mile high. That's the lightest she's been on stage. Typically, she's in winning shape at 120, right around 120, 119, 121, something like that. This year, the plan was to build her upper body, build it up more, and it's been, almost 11 months since her last time she stepped on stage when they said she needed to be a little bit bigger in the upper body to balance her out. Ashley has the same body fat as she had before, but now stepped on stage about 126.5.
Really? That blows my mind.
We're
What
one,
was my body fat though? I was probably like, well, to be fair, it was probably probably like 124 because I pooped,
that's a
like
big,
the night before the show, I took a really big poop. So that was probably like a 124 stage weight.
2.5 pounder.
I wish I had a scale to weigh it, but it was a really big poop. So I want to say like a 1.
That's a kilogram poop. Breaking pipes, dude. So let's say 125. Yeah, so you put on some solid muscle, Ashley, and the body fat's about 14.
To my shoulders.
Yeah, you put on. It's surprising, yeah, crazy, right?
Tell me my body fat because I forget what it was too. What you said is same as last time. What's the body fat?
Well, 14, 13.7, 14. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's surprising. See, here's the thing. I would say I felt softer, but I guess not. Wow, I didn't know it was 13.7. That was one of my lowest scans, I would say, or on the low end, because I've also walked on stage before at like 14, I want to say, right? Like a 14 center before. So that's crazy. Wow, okay. So I was lean and mean, and yeah, that was good. So like, you want to clarify a little bit for the people that are like 13.7, but I'm 5% body fat.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you guys know. Okay. So there's something we call like glamour measurements. I call them glamour measurements, right? So when you do a 7-point, they call it a Durham. There's one called a Durham-Wormsley foresight, which is 4 pinches on your body, where they pinch your arm. They pinch your bicep, your tricep, your subscapular, and then your iliac crest. They'll pinch those and measure them, and they come up with a body fat formula for that. There's a 7-site, which is highly inaccurate. It'll always come in super, super low. There's a 7-site or 4-site, which is a little bit inaccurate. And then there's, in-body, which is the thing you hold the handles. That's called bioelectrical impedance. There's a 3D scan, which is what we use, a bod pod, and a DEXA scan. Okay, just so you're clear on body fats, all of them are inaccurate. There's not a single one that's like the most accurate where it's like, perfect. All of them have a room of variance. They all have a margin of error. So the kind of like the gold standard is a DEXA scan, but still even that one has issues with it. So I wouldn't put too much into body fats. But that being said, you do get trainers that measure people and they're like, oh, my girl's 7%. Like that's not a real thing. I honestly don't think any female ever, even in women's bodybuilding or women's physique, has ever been 7%. I don't think that's the case, because that's like a guy realistically being like 2%, and that's never happened either. So when people understand about body fat, if you're on stage and you're like, let's say women's physique, shredded to the bone, like Olympia level, they might reach about 10%. And they did DEXA scans on 2 women's physique athletes that were high level at the Arnold Classic, and both of them were over 10% on stage. They were like 10.8, 10.5. I know that Heather Grace, who's an awesome women's physique competitor, she got under 10 once. She got to like 9.8 or something like that. So, and she was so lean that like her just walking, she'd be striated. Like her just walking, it was crazy. Like her glutes would like it doesn't even make sense how someone can get that lean. Full lats, like where the lats are showing all the striations, even cross striations in the legs. Like it's nuts how lean that was. So when bikini girls are like, oh, I'm 10%, I'm like, look at Heather when she was at her peak. If you're there, then yes, you're 10%. But let's be realistic, you're not there because it's murder to get to that percentage of body fat. It is absolutely so painful to get to that percentage. It's not the same going from, and that's the thing people don't understand too. It on paper and on like research, you would be like, oh no, it's the same going from 25 to 10 is the same as going from 15 to 10. It's the same as going from 25 to 20. Nope, it's significantly harder. The body fights you and fights you and fights you way more as you get leaner. So going from 14% as a bikini competitor, that's pushing it pretty hard. Some women will come in like 13s, but that's pushing it pretty hard. Anything under that, it's going to be way too lean for bikini. So a lot of times you'll see most bikini competitors like 16, 15%, but they think they're 10%. It's just not a reality. You are so crazy lean at 10% as a female that it's like, I mean, it doesn't even make sense. It's like, it's so lean. It's just so hard to even explain, So anyway, just to give you like some perspective, if you do have a true 14, 15% body fat, and it's a true 14, 15% body fat, like you're very competitive in bikini. And for figure, it's probably like 12%. And for women's physique, it's probably in the 10, 11% range. So just so you guys have a good understanding so you don't beat yourselves up about that. We've kind of talked about it before, but it's very important to clarify. And for guys, if you're truly 6% on stage, you're shredded. There's very few guys getting to that level of body fat. And everyone's like, we'll see these top level pro bodybuilders and like, oh, they're 3%, 2%. I mean, you're just not that lean. It's just, body fat tests aren't accurate and they just believe that they're accurate is all the only problem. So if you're 6, 7% for a guy, you are peeled. Your glutes will be fully striated at about 6.5, 7%. So just so you guys have a good understanding of what real body fat is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Amen to that. So anyway, so I'm excited for this weekend. It's going to be fun. We're flying in super, super early tomorrow morning.
Did you check in yet? Did you check in?
I will right now.
I checked in.
Okay. I will check in right now. No, I need to because I don't want to miss it.
You're going to wait for me at the airport?
Yeah, because I'm only like flying in 30, 40 minutes before you, I think.
I think it's like an hour before me, hour 20. Oh, we'll have a coffee and breakfast.
Yeah, I'll do some work, whatever.
Because our check-in on the hotel isn't even until 3 p.m., but athlete check-in's at 1.
Okay, cool. Well, then we'll go to check-ins. Yeah, go to check-ins and then we'll check in at the hotel. So, well, this will be good. And then, one of the things we got to say, when you're traveling, I think that actually it's important for that people to know. When you're traveling, Ashley, I always tell anyone traveling, I always tell them, keep your suit and keep your heels as your carry-on. Never check your carry-on, never check your heels, your suit, just everything you need, bring that on the plane. If you have a backup suit, whatever, put that in you can put that in you can check that in, but have at least the necessities with you. Never check those in. I've heard horror stories. You always see Ashley with her check-in bag will have it. And you never know. You just never know. Have a pair of backup shoes, have two of everything. So, yep.
Yes.
So with that being said, I think that's it for this week. Any tips for people though, first, before like going from show to show, anything you want to kind of, that you find important that maybe that I wouldn't think about?
I guess in summary, just be super careful about the treatment after a show. If you're going to do a back-to-back. And also, I know I mentioned it's so hard to get the tan off, from week to week, especially that show tan is so stubborn, right? There's a product by Liquid Sunrays called E-Raise It, and that's what I use. And it takes the tan off so that you don't have to like make your skin just one big scab of scrub. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good product to use if you're doing a back-to-back show. And, just keep it in check. Yeah.
Cool. And with that, guys, hopefully you guys learned a little bit. Stay tuned to Ashley's channel, and I'll do as much as we can with the lives. I don't know what I'm technically allowed to do there. I'm a guest, so I'm definitely not going to just post whatever, I'm not just going to shoot a live unless I have permission. But stay tuned. We'll be posting a bunch on Saturday. And thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Toodly doodlies.